So in my last vlog, I talked about playing games and how you're going to play a game and how you're going to do things. So until not that long ago, I was teaching some part-time, sometimes full-time at Central Washington University. So I've spent a lot of time with a group of students in the College of Business at Central Washington University. And I'm going to tip something off in this video, and it's the sort of thing that now that I'm not teaching at Central, I'm going to go straight out and say, but I happen to know that it's very widespread beyond this. So talking about how do you play a game, and the idea that I think a game has zero value if you cheat, that you turn your win into nothing because you didn't win by the rules of the game, by the bounds of the game. You didn't win by the boundaries other people are playing on. Cheating has become something that is really rampant in our society, wildly rampant, and in schools it is the worst. It is so bad that the way I learned that my students were cheating was one of my students told me he was cheating and how he was cheating, because it's so widespread at Central Washington University that this student couldn't conceive of the idea that, one, I wouldn't know, and two, that I'd have a problem with it. It came as a shock to him that I would bother to be upset by the fact that students were cheating. How bad is the cheating? So there is a website out there called Quizlet. Quizlet, as an organization, as a business, portends to be a study aid. They're supposed to help you prepare to study. That's an utter lie. I don't know them as individuals. That might have been what they started as. What they are is the largest aid to cheating in America. How popular is this website? It ranks in like the top 15 or so websites in the world for visitation. Okay? It ranks up there with Google, and it is up there. It ranks just below those guys and above some wildly popular websites. They are mind-bogglingly popular. Why? Because they help students cheat. That's what they're there to do. So how does it do it? Well, for instance, my students, so in the university setting, professors are pushed very hard to do more than is possible. So because of that, what they're doing is you're trying to be very efficient. And one of the efficiencies of the world today is the textbook companies that produce textbooks try to develop a whole lot of your class for you. So you pick a textbook because the textbook comes with all of the quizzes already made and all the tests already made, all of that's already available to you. So you pick a textbook for your subject and you teach based upon that textbook, but you don't have to create any of the other stuff. Not only do you not have to create it, in many cases, if you use their software, you don't have to grade it either. It's all self put together. And so you just hand it out and it comes back and you feed it in a computer and it grades itself. The problem with that is virtually every textbook in existence, Quizlet has already posted the answers to every single quiz, test, everything in there. The other problem is it's a participation-based system where it encourages the students who are using the site, if they can't find the answers to their questions, they can post up the questions and other people will answer them for them. And what I found is when I created a test myself, very often among my own students, within a week, I would find my own quizzes listed on Quizlet with all the answers. And my students could type in my questions, and word for word, my questions would pop up with the answers. That pissed me off. The professor that I worked with, that I worked most closely with, he contacted Quizlet we were using a certain textbook. We contacted Quizlet and said, please take down all of these quizzes. We've found that all our quizzes are available on there. They said, do you own the copyright to these? Well, no, we were using a textbook. They said, no, we don't care. Unless you own the copyright for it, we don't care what you say. And so they refused to pull it down. Okay, so our students were able to take these quizzes online. They were pre-packaged from the company. We have we have a textbook, and then we would post up through our online system. We'd post up the tests, and we were very laid back. These tests were open book. Okay, they're taking these tests at home, and the test might have 15 questions, something like that, 20 questions, something like that. At the beginning of the term, one of the things the students seemed unable to comprehend was that in the system, we could go in and look at how long did it take them to take the quiz. So it's open book. And so in the early stages, in the very first ones, especially because a lot of our students were freshmen. And so a lot of the times we're giving students their very first tests they've ever taken in college. So they show up and they start taking tests. And early on, they do this amazing thing. They actually do the work. And so we'd find that on average, it would take our students 30 minutes to an hour to do them. So, and we know they've not read the chapter and then do the quiz. They read the quiz and look up the answers as they go through, which for us, that was fine. We wanted them to take in the knowledge. So that was acceptable to us. By week 3, 4, 5, we had students who were completing the quizzes in 30 seconds. Entire chapter, completing the quiz in 30 seconds. So we decided that we were going to put a stop to it. So we told the students, so the students had a quiz on a specific night because they get loaded to the system, so they pop up at a certain time. We told the students after that time period, we told them, bring your book to class tomorrow. So all the students were asked to bring their textbook to class the next day. So the next day in class, we gave the exact same quiz they had had the night before. It's like 15 questions, 20 questions, something like that. And then we had our assistants write down what time every single student turned in their quiz. And so they would hand the quiz in and then they could leave. Again, they're doing the same quiz they did the night before. We had students who had completed quizzes, had gotten them 100% correct in 30 seconds online, completely fail the quiz in 45, 50 minutes the next day. The same damn quiz. Okay? How many did that? About half the class. What we tried to put out was we decided that any student who took twice as long and missed twice as many as they had 24 hours, less than 24 hours, about 15 hours previously, was going to fail. Not our quiz, our class. Because they were cheating. They're clearly cheating. They're absolutely cheating. Central Washington University would not let us do it. Central Washington University won't let us fail anybody for anything. It's mind-boggling. I know of professors who, one of the other features that this online stuff has is you can actually, and the students know this is the case, that they have to do it in front of their camera with the camera turned on. That's how professors are supposed to be able to give closed book tests during online sessions. Had a student who wore glasses like me, spent their whole time doing the quiz. You could see about as much of them as you can see of me now, and they spent the whole quiz like this. And every time they went like that, in their glasses, you could see their book. Okay? We're not talking, CIA level sneaking around. This is, there's a giant reflection of them flipping through their textbook right there. Totally videotaped. The professor who gave that quiz tried to fail that student. Not only is it against the rules that were in the syllabus, it's against the rules of Central. In Washington State, it's against the law. It is against the law in Washington State to cheat in college. Central Washington University would not allow that professor to fail that student. Okay? We are failing students. We're failing students because we're not requiring them to actually learn anything. Now, how do I want to fix it? I want to fix it by talking to the students. This basic idea of why would you cheat on this? You're paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get an education. And most of the students that I dealt with, I wish this was not the case. I wish this was an exaggeration. It's not. Most of the students that I had in class were paying for a piece of paper. They couldn't care less about learning anything. They had not been taught to even value what they were learning. And so to them, it was a giant game of just trying to get a piece of paper at the end. They were going to get some grades. They were going to do what it took to get some grades so they'd be handed a diploma at the end. Whether that was to make their parents happy or to make some future employer happy or something. But a large percentage of the students, the majority of the students at that university, and I've talked to enough professors elsewhere. I'm not just slamming Central Washington University. I have direct knowledge of Central Washington University, and I'm deeply disturbed at Central Washington University's lack of caring about cheating. They know it's going on, and they just don't care. And I've been involved. My family, I calculated my family from my grandfather, my dad's generation, my generation. We've got 70 years invested in Central Washington University. We have been faculty, we have been staff, we have been students, we have been student athletes, we have participated, we've been student employees, we have participated in every single part of Central Washington University. We have been dedicated to it as a university and to the College of Business specifically, though we have been heavily involved in the education department there as well, and I am deeply disturbed at what I find there. Massively, deeply disturbed. I've told my family that I don't want us actually giving money to the university anymore. I think they have lost their way, and I think they don't care anymore. The thing that I would say to the students, though, is you can still get a good education at Central Washington University. Both of my kids did. Both of my kids graduated there, and both of them got good educations, but only because they wanted to. If your child is going to get a good education in college right now, it's going to be because they want to. Unless maybe they go to a private university. Outside of a private university right now, I would put zero stock in a piece of paper from a university in America meaning anything right now. Because of Quizlet. Quizlet alone is enough argument that says cheating has become an acceptable way of getting through an education, which means at the end, the piece of paper does not mean a student knows anything. And I've been talking to my students all along saying, you're robbing yourself just from that piece alone. Eventually, the industries, Central Washington University College of Business is seriously involved in sending students to Boeing and Amazon and Microsoft. They are worshiping at the feet of Boeing, Microsoft, and Amazon. They have developed their programs that they teach there to excite those folks. And at some point, those guys are going to wake up and realize Central students don't know anything. They're not learning anything. And when they find that out, and they decide that that piece of paper doesn't mean anything, that word will spread, and it's the students who are going to be screwed. Because the students are going to have a piece of paper they actually spent a lot of money for. Many of them will have cheated for. Some of them will have worked really hard for. And the piece of paper is going to be worth nothing because the world's going to be tipped off that it's garbage. It does not signify that you actually know anything. My university, I went to Lubbock Christian University, and at Lubbock Christian University, cheating on a single test, being caught cheating on a single test not only could get you kicked out, it would get you kicked out. I know of a situation, I participated in a situation of a student who was cheating off of me in our senior year in the last class we were taking before graduation. It was one of those situations where I couldn't even imagine cheating off of somebody. I just couldn't believe it. And so I would not support it. And I had a student who was cheating off of me, and so I tipped off the professor that it was happening, and I helped him prove it was happening. That student at my university kicked him out of the university in his senior year. Our private university was very expensive. Very expensive. I graduated with $80,000 in student debt out of there. Okay? This was in 1994 I graduated. This student got kicked out his senior year. He had what they offered to him was he had to sit out a complete year. Then, if he wanted to graduate from Lubbock Christian University, he was going to have to come back and take his entire senior year over. They wiped out all credits he took in his senior year. They assumed because he cheated off of me in one test that they proved that he was a cheater, and thus not a single credit of his senior year was going to count, because the assumption was if he cheated once, he was a cheater. So he was going to prove himself not to be a cheater. My $80,000 in student debt, the education I graduated with, which was worth $120,000 or so, was worth every penny of that because of the fact I had to actually learn to get that piece of paper. Today, it's just sad. It's terrible. And I think it starts way earlier than college. I don't have the proof for that right now, but I'm certain it starts they don't come to college and learn to cheat there. Okay? I think cheating is becoming a way of life in America, and that's a giant problem. I would hope the people who are watching this, I would hope that we decide among ourselves. The kind of people I want as members of Liberty Poker Club are people who don't need somebody outside themselves to make them not a cheater. Because it has no value. It has no value at all. If you win something by cheating, or you gain a piece of paper by cheating, it has no value. I'm not claiming to be the smartest person in the world. I work hard at knowing stuff. But me sitting here and pretending I've read these books, whether it be we've got classics here or history over here or whatever, me pretending to read them, what good does that do? It certainly wouldn't have given me the confidence to sit here and record myself talking for all this time. No, you've got to actually do the work, or don't do it. Why play a game if you're not going to play the game right? Why do anything unless you're going to do it by a standard, and the standards come from you? You have to decide what your standards are and what you're going to be. That we need to work again towards a day. I just can't even imagine being a person who cheated their way through school. It just doesn't compute to me. I don't know what that's supposed to do to your self-esteem, or what you're supposed to have gained. Or I think it should make you very scared about going into a world, because you are wildly unprepared for running into people who actually know things. So think about who you're going to be, what you're going to be.